I created a postpartum fitness plan. It's called Post Baby Bod. And everything I learned, I just put it into that PDF file because I was like, even as a fitness professional, I didn't know any of this information. And I jumped back into it way too quickly. I was teaching at a health resort at the time, and I was 2 months postpartum taking this high impact Tabata class so that I knew how to teach it as soon as I came back to work. Just like jumping and doing all these crazy things that I think about now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Because the crazy thing is that even if you feel well, you're like, I feel great. I feel back to quote normal. There's so much internal healing that has to transpire. So you have no idea what's going on internally, and you could be doing these things and it could really affect you for the rest of your life.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out, episode 155. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. How's it going?
It's going.
Normally we give little updates here about like what's going on in our lives, but there isn't anything.
Right.
We can't leave.
Well, let's see. I did walk from the kitchen into the living room, and I went outside today. I went and got the mail.
It's very brave of you.
I brought the trash can in from the curb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was very exciting.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
It's riveting stuff.
Yeah, and then I was on phone calls all day long. Woo!
So I guess since there's no real updates, let's just hear what we're going to talk about this week.
All right. We're going to talk about Peloton.
Okay, good enough.
No, but for real, we're going to talk about the earnings. We're going to talk about some new stuff that's popped up on Peloton. We're going to talk about several articles and let's see, some new stuff. They had a new commercial we got to talk about. Then we are going to talk about what we're going to do about the tonal winner.
Yes.
And then we've got some fun stuff going on with the instructors. Some of the tribes have some fun stuff going on. And I think that is all.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, so you can go there, rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe so you never miss an episode. We have a new review.
I would like to hear it.
This is from Strong Bad 6901.
Oh, okay.
Okay. First off, I would just like to show the amount of restraint that I'm using.
Okay.
Because there's a 6 and a 9 in the screen name.
Right. I'm with you. Good for you.
Didn't say a thing. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
Okay. Tom and Crystal meeting y'all in They said y'all. I'm reading this as they wrote it.
Oh.
I didn't get very southern on you all of a sudden.
Okay.
Meeting y'all in person is on the top of my bucket list, right next to being on the TV show Survivor. Your podcast is my favorite thing about Friday mornings. As a 2014 OG, I've seen all the growth and changes along the way, and I have to say that the Clip Out is one of my very favorite things about being part of the Peloton community.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you both so much for all you do. Or is it all y'all do? Leaderboard named Susan ATX, Susan Burton from Austin, Texas.
Oh, I love Susan. She is one of the sweetest people. She always sends messages and she's always so helpful with little things. Like she'll send little articles and she's just the best.
She's just sweet as molasses.
She is.
I'm trying to be Southern too.
I bet with that Southern accent that I imagine that she has, I bet, well, we know she left us a message that one time. She left us a voicemail.
Oh, okay.
You remember that?
Yeah.
But I bet you she could really say things like, bless your heart.
Probably.
And it might sound like she means it nicely.
But she doesn't.
She doesn't. No, bless your heart. That's a double whammy right there.
Some Southern
Sounds
passive
sweet,
aggressiveness.
But no.
Well, thank you for the nice review, and thank you for not having that review include bless our hearts.
Yes, it was a very nice review, and you are amazing.
And I guess I should be fixing to get back to the shameless plugs. That's more Southern talk, just so you know. We have a new shameless plug to insert, which is don't forget to tag the Clip Out on the bike. Use the Clip Out tag when you're on there.
Yes, please. And that's the hashtag if you don't know what he's talking about. It's new, so everybody doesn't quite have it down yet. We're still getting used to that.
I'm still struggling with it.
Well, it's probably because you're not on the bike.
I haven't used any tags yet. Also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, where you can get a newsletter. That's when I started it off the sentence
Sunday.
by saying sign up the newsletter. And on most Sundays, you will get a newsletter with links and pictures and things like that to all the things we talk about. So
yeah, when I remembered that I had forgotten it, that would definitely be today, which is Wednesday. So
like right in this very moment.
No, it was earlier today when I was putting everything together for the show. I was like, "Aw, dang."
It doesn't help that there are no days of the week anymore.
That's true. That's true.
Makes it difficult.
Still,
so.
I'm sorry. I was on a real roll.
You were good. Yeah, I wasn't even teasing about it. And ta-da.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Yes.
It's time for news of the Peloton.
So the earnings report happened moments ago as of this recording. So we are fresh off the earnings report call. The question of the day, are we rich?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Last time, just before the earnings call, the stock price went up, and it did again today.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we're at 38.03 as of closing today, which is, again, Wednesday. Now, also, the last time we talked about an earnings report, the next day, it plummeted severely. And that was because they had adjusted their guidance for the rest of the year. I think it was for quarter 3. I don't want to delve into the whole thing, but it was like they had expected a bunch of bikes and treads to go in the second quarter or third quarter,
right,
and then ended up going in the second quarter because of how everything fell. They got things done
They could
faster.
Shipped them faster, and so those transactions fell in a different quarter.
And so that's why they adjusted it. It really wasn't a bad adjustment, but the market is stupid.
They're
so
weird.
But we're doing well today. Are we rich? We're never going to be rich because we didn't buy enough shares to be rich, even if they do amazing.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, so you got to sell them. But regardless, the answer to all of that is they're doing very well. I didn't get to hear a ton because, I was working while I was listening. So it makes it hard. What did you hear?
I heard that their churn rate was at an all-time low.
Woo.
Or maybe not all time, but I think they said 4.5 years, which, I mean, you go back 4.5 years, was there enough bikes to even churn?
Yeah, they I think officially they've been at it for 6 years. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, that's amazing.
But when the numbers of people have increased that much, but your churn rate is lower, like that's...
Didn't they say that they had, it was like I think they said like 1.6 million users.
I think that something like that. Yeah.
And then like for the digital subscription, it was something crazy like 376,000.
Yeah.
It was a huge number. And that was just for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That was just 6 weeks that they had done that. And of course, time will tell if those will flip over into long-term purchases.
Right. I also thought it was interesting that as of right now, they are spending $0 on marketing.
Yeah.
And that they've paused all their marketing because of the coronavirus crisis. So they're recognizing more profit just because obviously, as we know, there's been a spike in purchases for at-home fitness, and they're not spending $1 to drive those sales, that they're coasting, for lack of a better word, off the brand that they've established over the last 6 years.
So I didn't hear if they said that their expenses in general were down or if it was just the marketing, sales and marketing was down, because they also said that some of the other expenses were up due to like hazard pay for people who are in the warehouse. I didn't hear the overall.
It sounded like some of their expenses were up some, but not much,
crazy.
and that the marketing costs offset them a great deal.
Okay.
And that, there's the hazard pay, and that I guess they were paying to ship things faster to get them into the marketplace even quicker as they saw demand spiking.
Yeah, because they're trying to keep up with the bike demand. Obviously, they can't ship those treadmills.
And I thought another interesting thing that they said, I think it was John Foley who said it. I call him John.
Yeah,
because we're
you
tight
and John.
like that. Yeah, that they had to essentially scuttle plans for announcements of new product.
Yeah, which we'll get to how things went this Saturday on the quote unquote homecoming fireside chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the thought processes that came up within our Zoom call is, well, maybe they aren't making announcements because they can't.
Yeah.
Like there's no retail stores. They're not open. There's no place to sell them. There's no logistics available to get them to people. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Foley did not That's what I call him.
Okay.
He did not say or commit to a time frame of when they would be announcing. But I kind of heard that little slip of it sounds like it might still be this year, or at least he's hopeful that it's going to be this year.
Yeah, I got that same vibe that he doesn't want to commit to anything, obviously, but that Johnny, that's what I call him.
Yeah.
That Johnny's hopeful that we can all get back to some semblance of normalcy and then things like that can resume.
Yeah, that's definitely what I heard. I also thought some things that were interesting was that right now their guidance says that they do not include any kind of delivery for the treads for this entire next quarter.
Yeah.
And they said that if they are able to start delivering prior to that, that they would adjust, that guidance would just go up, but they're not including that. So that tells me that they don't think that they're going to be, they're at least planning for the worst, that they're not going to be able to deliver treads this quarter. And they said that they were going to be on the trailing edge of opening up their retail stores, that because they're having this amazing demand without the marketing, they don't need to open up their retail stores. And I was so happy to hear that their retail employees are still working, are able to work remotely. They're helping out with inside sales. They're helping out with other things at home. So they're not out of a job if they're not opening up. And he also, John, my buddy Foley, he pointed out that they would be able to get even better deals for new places to open in the future.
Yeah, because with retail taking a hit, and we're reading between the lines, but I think the implication is that they think that rents will drop and they'll be able to leverage that for, better square footage prices when it comes to storefronts.
Yeah. So I think it was definitely a decision that they made. I think they were hoping this whole time they'd be able to make some announcements, but as the world continues to progress, the COVID continues to progress, rather, I feel like they have to keep adjusting and they have to keep pushing off those announcements. And so I don't know when they're coming, but they're still out there. He used the words, there is a big backlog of things that they are bringing to the market.
Yes. And also Folster. That's what I call him.
Yeah.
Felt that this is a permanent shift in how people will exercise. That just the at-home fitness aspect is that he doesn't think, and I tend to agree, that a lot of people, they ain't going back.
I mean, I agree with that.
I think once you got the stuff in your house, why would you?
Well, a lot of naysayers feel that, they're going to crave getting back out there with the people. But Johnny Boy, that's what I call him, says that, that's not necessarily true, because there's going to be, eventually the world's going to open back up. There's going to be other opportunities to have those moments to interact. And of course, there's the Peloton community that they can interact.
Yeah, like you still, like I think a lot of the naysayers, they still don't fathom the level of community that's there with Peloton if you want it. And I think it's more engaging than a gym, because you go to a gym, you don't even want to make eye contact with people. So. And
it's funny for somebody who won't use the equipment, but okay.
Oh, yeah. but I do engage with the community.
You do. You do.
There.
You do.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how the earnings report went. That's what Johnny Be Good. That's what I call him.
Yeah.
Had
the Folster. That's what I call him.
No, I already used that.
Oh, you already used that one? Okay. John.
There you go. So I guess from there, let's segue into a recap of quote unquote homecoming. Wow. No holding back there.
You know what? It's no one's fault, but it's obviously it's not the same.
It felt a little anticlimactic.
It did. Yeah. And to be fair, Peloton transitioned the what it was called. It wasn't called Homecoming anymore. It was called Together We Go Far. And that is absolutely true for this company, for this community, for everybody involved. But
it's an ironic name when we were together, literally not going anywhere.
Yeah. But the thing is that, I anticipated and clearly wrongly that there were going to be big announcements, because they were so like, join us. Right. Don't miss it. There were text updates. There were posts on Facebook reminders, and they don't do a lot of that. So naively, I was waiting with bated breath. I thought this was going to be a big moment, and it wasn't. It was just basically asking some questions. And unfortunately, it was questions that you and I had already asked while we were up on stage a couple years ago at the actual homecoming.
But there are lots of new people that haven't seen that.
There are. And that's a very good point. I mean, there's so many people that haven't heard this.
Yeah.
And, I think it's just kind of part of like, for me personally, this does not speak for the entire community. Obviously, I couldn't do that if I wanted to. But I've been a part of this community for a long time now. And it's like, I mean, I think that's the first time I felt like a little bit of repetition.
Yeah.
Seen this, been there, done that, and that's not Peloton style.
Right.
And I know for a fact that there's not a doubt in my mind. I don't know for a fact, but there's no doubt in my mind that had they had their way, it wouldn't have been that.
Yeah.
Nobody went into this planning it like that. But then there was also the warehouse sale, which was not great, and I didn't think that it was going to be, because in person, you can like bring out more stock and dump it in the boxes. Right. It's a lot harder to do that online.
And also, I think someone made a good point, and I had thought the same thing, that a lot of that stuff is probably uninventoried. So to put it back online, to classify it, to put it back into an online store, it's not worth spending that kind of money on the labor to then blow it out at $3 for a sports bra. And
it's true. But the end result was that everything that was out there went really fast. It was gone by like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The wide variety of sizes were gone very early. And so people were left frustrated and disappointed. But there is a silver lining to all of this. Next year is going to be amazing. Because they're going to have all the stuff they couldn't sell at the warehouse this year.
True.
So, they're just going to throw it into next year's bins.
There's also another silver lining.
That you didn't have to spend any money?
Well, that you didn't have to spend any money.
I didn't, and not one penny, because everything that was on sale, I have already bought. So the good news is we've already gotten it. The bad news is you paid full price.
Well, I didn't pay full. You paid full price.
We paid full price. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, though, that were able to actually get the sale, they were happy with their sale prices.
Well, that's good.
But you guys got to remember this when it comes to Peloton sales. So many people were caught off guard. And I say this, a lot of you know this, but we got to spread the word, man. When you have these big sales, they can take this out of your cart.
Yeah, pull it out of your cart.
If you don't hit buy, it's gone. What you got to do is shop in shifts. You go in, you find 3 things you like, hit buy. You go back in, you buy 3 more things, hit buy. You don't have time to think. This is not a time to think like, do I really need this? You need it. You absolutely need it. You're here to buy.
This is a sprint, not a marathon.
Yes. You got to have your shoes on and ready to go.
Yes.
I don't want to end that subject on a totally negative note, though.
Right.
I think that, as you pointed out, a lot of new people came and got to hear John Foley speak for the first time.
Right.
Got to see Jen Sherman ask John Foley questions for the first time. I think that's great. And their first interaction with Tom Cortese, and not their first experience with Cody Rigsby. I'm sure they've taken classes with him and Jen, but seeing them interact like that, seeing the genuineness that comes from it.
But, in all fairness, maybe they have it. People tend to find their instructors and stick with them. So maybe that was a new exposure for both of those instructors.
It might have been. Might have been.
So there's a new Quest badge.
It's been spotted.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what it means or what it's for, but it's out there. And it was on screenshots. It sounds like somebody sent out an email, perhaps. It's all complete speculation.
Right.
It was seen. Nobody knows why it was seen or why it was out there, and nobody knows what it is, because if you go to your tablet, you can't find it.
Interesting.
So all I know is it's green and it says Quest on it. And so we don't know what that means. We don't know what we're going to do with it.
Like Quest Diagnostic? Like you have to give a blood sample?
I was thinking more like you're going on a quest.
Oh, okay. That could be a thing too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you get a special badge for giving blood. I don't know.
You never know. Well, we'll have to watch this space to figure out what that means.
Definitely.
There was a nice article in the New York Times about people panic buying Pelotons.
It's just so funny to me that, the shift, it wasn't even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how people were so frustrated at Peloton because they were quote unquote tone deaf for, having the nerve to have a man buy a woman an exercise gift for Christmas. And then here we are in May talking about that, it's the must buy of the pandemic season.
Right.
Having said that, For those of you who think that it's still tone deaf to be talking about that whenever there's people who can't buy their food, I agree with you, and nobody ever said that Peloton was the one making that decision. This is just an article.
Yeah, and clearly Peloton isn't. They're not
spending a penny on marketing.
They're spending $0 on marketing. So like that's not a message they're pushing.
No, that's all just the perception, because literally people tweet. There was an actual tweet that inspired that article that said, I just panic bought a Peloton, because they were going to be their stay-at-home orders had been extended in this family's home, and they had kids and they had an active family, and they were like, what are we going to do? Like, we cannot do another few weeks of this staying home. And so they bought a Peloton, and I get it. I really do not know how I mentally would be doing at this moment if there were not exercise equipment in this home. Like, I don't know what I'd be doing. It probably would not be good, though.
Most likely.
He says with fear in his eyes. So it's just funny to me, the whole article.
Yeah. And again, if it's not as major of a purchase, I think, is the general public tends to think, especially when all those people who had gym memberships now have that money freed up.
That's a good point.
And so it's because
a lot of gyms have frozen those gym memberships.
Right.
They're not taking the money at this point. So that's a good point, Tom.
Every once in a while I got one.
Oh, lots of times.
So I found an interesting article in the Washington Post about how exercise is working in Spain.
I thought this was fascinating. So tell us about it.
So they are doing shifts for exercising, like in outdoor places.
So my understanding is, like, you get an assigned time.
Right. There are assigned times based on your age group. So from 6 to 10 a.m., adults get to exercise. Right. And then from 10 a.m. to noon, 70 and older. So all the adults need to go inside, and 70 plus, they get to exercise from 10 to noon. And then from noon to 7, kids under 14.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so then I think the parents can go with them.
Okay.
Because if they, but you better have a kid with you.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get arrested.
You can't just send your 4-year-old out to exercise.
Well, I guess you could.
Well.
And then from 7 to 8, 70 and up again.
Really?
Yeah.
They get it twice?
Well, there's shifts like that and then 8 to 11 adults could do it again.
So do they consider anybody over the age of 14 an adult?
I'm assuming that's how that works. If it's kids are 14 and under, then it's probably, I guess, 14 to 69.
Oh, God.
Come on, I passed on one.
You can't pass on two.
It came up twice. And, 69
Okay.
takes 2.
Okay.
Just
Move
saying.
on.
So, so then adults get to go back out again from 8 to 11.
Okay.
And then I guess from 11 to 6 a.m., you just need to be in bed.
Just go to sleep.
So anyway, I just thought that was very interesting, the way they're staggering that, like basically mandating how that works.
It is. Yeah. It's very interesting. It's fascinating to see how each different country has been handling this.
Yeah.
At a very high level.
Yes.
Well, I found an article about Gold's Gym, and they are officially filing for bankruptcy.
So if you have a Gold's Gym membership, you can roll all that into your Peloton panic purchase.
Yeah, I mean, a while back we had talked about that they had closed several stores, and I think that was in April. And so now they are filing for bankruptcy. A lot of people seem to think that they're going to restructure and come out of it. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what'll happen there. But
it wouldn't surprise me if in some capacity, just even if it changes ownership, someone will acquire that name just because it has such brand recognition, in the same way that, someone bought CircuitCity.com. And you know what I mean? It's an established brand. So somebody at some point will probably open a gym and look around and be like, can we license that name, if nothing else?
That's a very good point.
There was a new Peloton commercial in Germany. And
to be clear, I don't know if it's new or they just posted it to the YouTube channel.
Gotcha.
Because obviously we are not privy to the TV that is happening in Germany.
Nor do we sprechen die Deutsch.
That is true too. And so I can't really tell you how great the commercial was.
Right.
Because it was in German, but it looked great.
Was it all like craft work?
Yes.
I'm just picturing like Mike Myers and sprockets.
No, it was a typical kind of feel to it where, you know, you have the instructor on the bike and being very like motivating. I saw Irene, a lot of Irene in there.
Did the instructor touch a monkey?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't get it.
That was from Sprockets on SNL.
okay.
Would you like to touch my monkey?
So, yeah.
You know, everybody's wanting to know when and who won the tonal.
Yeah, Tom.
And so we can't tell you.
Right.
Because as of the recording of this, the contest
time is not up.
The contest is still going on.
Right.
So by the time you will hear this, the contest will be wrapping up. But right now, it is still anybody's tonal. Mm-hmm. It's up for grab. It's Schrodinger's tonal. It is yours, but it is also everyone's and no one's. But so I guess should we make them wait a full week, or do you think we should post the answer on Facebook?
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to have another Zoom call this weekend and announce it on the Zoom call.
I don't know. If that person's not on the Zoom call, then everyone else on the Zoom call will want to hurt us.
Well, we don't have to draw it on the Zoom call.
Right.
But we could announce it on the Zoom call, and then we can still put it on Facebook.
Okay, we could do that.
Okay.
So when is the Zoom call?
I don't know, Tom. When is it?
Saturday.
Don't you have to work at the morgue this weekend?
I do.
I don't know what days you have to work.
I do, but I go in at like midnight.
Okay, so we could. Do you want to do Saturday again?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, Saturday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's when you will find out the tonal winner.
So
dun, dun, dun.
Stay tuned, literally. Alex Toussaint's having a good week.
Yeah, he is.
He's on,
and he deserves it. What a great guy.
Featured on the Golf Channel.
Yeah, he is the de facto trainer of the PGA Tour.
Wow,
it's official. I mean, according to the Golf Channel.
It's officially unofficial.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was a big thing. Like they did it up really nice. It was great.
The Golf Channel, that must be seen by tens of people.
You know what? I think it's super popular.
It probably
It's not our thing, but I think it's a big deal.
I've always read that golf is one of those things, like golf on TV, that it doesn't get huge ratings, but it stays on the air because the people that do watch it got serious bank.
Oh, I believe that.
And so they want to advertise to those people. And so even though it's fewer people, it's people with so much money, disproportionately speaking.
It's so fascinating that Alex has become the trainer to all of the athletes. Yeah. I wonder what they could see in each other that they're connecting. And I don't mean that like Alex doesn't have something to pick up on. Yeah, not like you're
questioning their judgment, but just like of all the instructors, why that one? And if it was a different one, then why that one?
Right,
like
exactly. Because it's not just golf. It's football and it's all the sports people that we have talked to. They keep coming back to Alex, and it's just fascinating. In the same way that I'm like, okay, but if you're an Alex guy, you're probably not I don't know, who would that be? Emma Lovewell. I don't see those pairing a lot.
Right.
You know, that's not like your go-to instructor typically. But on the flip side, if you're an Alex person, you're probably a Robin person.
Right.
You know, so it's just kind of fascinating to me that like all these sportsy people gravitate there.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some kind of like common thing they sense in each other.
Well, I guess it's maybe ultimately look at it from the other direction, that if you're a professional athlete, they probably all have some sort of personality trait in common. And so therefore, they're bound to disproportionately land on similar instructors.
That's true.
It's just a matter of which one.
I just find it fascinating.
Totally.
I feel like there needs to be a psychological map of all of the Peloton instructors and how they relate to the rest of the public. I feel like there's a study that could be done here that would be fascinating.
I'll get right on that.
Okay.
And then also Alex was on
You're like, let me finish.
He was on the Today Show.
Yes, he was. Sort of. Like it was a video of him on the Today Show. Actually, Rory McIlroy was on the Today Show. And then there was a video telling Rory McIlroy happy birthday.
Gotcha.
It was very cool. It was, and you could see Rory in the background.
Yeah.
It was very, like, he was like, oh, you know. It was, I hate to say cute because it sounds like I'm making it small, and
Right.
it wasn't at all. It was a really nice thing. Very cool.
And this next thing isn't exactly new news.
Not at all.
But it might be new information to a lot of people.
Was to me.
I didn't know this, and I found it fascinating.
Me too.
Christine D'Ercole was in Dead Poets Society.
Right? Like, who knew?
Yeah.
I mean, probably a lot of you, but I didn't know that. And it was, I don't even remember. I was checking out something else in the Canada Peloton writers group. And then all of a sudden, there was this thing about, did you guys know this? And I was like, well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And then somebody had actually gone to the trouble to go fact check it, because apparently Christine at some point on her Instagram mentioned it. So like, it is official. It is her.
And then she went to prom with one of the cast members?
Yeah.
Like, that's
I
really
was
cool.
like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Fascinating stuff. There's little things about our instructors.
I know. That's really cool.
Yeah.
The Feel Good fam has tips for people.
Yeah, it's kind of a little program they're doing. So do you know who Jake Goldstein is?
No.
Okay, he's important. All you got to know is Jake Goldstein is coming on to their group just for the Feel Good fam. So you got to be part of it. And they're going to swarm on Alex's on-demand class. And then Jake is going to, for a whole week, like focus on different aspects of like training. So, you know, bike positioning, technique, that kind of thing. And then there's going to be some Instagram live Q&A sessions where you can discuss the strategies and learn how to break through plateaus. So the first event is this Saturday, May 9th. And then there's going to be an output test. You can find out all about that. You can go to Jake Goldstein's Instagram. You can find it on the Feel Good fam. It's out there. But everybody's going to work together to go through this like training program. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's really, that is cool. Speaking of training programs.
Yeah.
How's Fight Camp treating you?
It's treating me very well. I know I keep saying the same thing. Like, I'm really enjoying like being able to do it. You know, my favorite thing this week is that whenever I am able to use Fight Camp, I feel like I'm working my core without doing things like crunches.
Yeah.
It's an all over workout. You know, you're working your arms, you're working, your shoulders, your chest, all of that, but you're also working your core.
Right.
And whenever they throw in things like squats, you're working your lower body too, and you're doing all the twisting. And so it's like you just get this amazing workout, but you don't feel like you're working out. It's like you were a kid and you're playing a game and you feel like you're playing rather than working out, which for me tends to be the secret of success of sticking with something.
Totally. I mean, I did a crunch once. It was it was awful.
It was.
I'm still a little tender. I'm not gonna lie.
Chicken tender.
Yeah. It was high school. It was a crazy time. Yeah, you've been liking it so much. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I'm just gonna, for Mother's Day, I got you one of those spit buckets.
That's very thoughtful,
yeah,
Tom.
so you'd be like a real boxer, and you can just right in there.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So try to act excited when you open it.
I'll try. See what I can do.
So, one of the really cool things I think about it too is, right now everybody's looking for new and exciting things to do with their at-home gym.
Yeah.
And it's a great compliment.
It is. And it's also, as we pointed out before, fabulous that it can be delivered to your home. You don't have to have somebody come in and set it up. And it's easy to set up because you and I did it.
Totally.
Which says it all.
You don't need any more proof than that.
You don't.
Yeah.
And and if you already have a bag, if you already have a boxing bag, boom, all you got to do is buy the gloves and the sensors and you are off to the races.
Easy peasy. So if you want more information, just go to joinfightcamp.com.
And if you do purchase, don't forget to tell them at the end of your purchase, there's a survey. The clip out is where you got it from. So
Mark Rubinstein.
Yes, Mark Rubinstein is actually the reason I was over at the Canada Peloton Riders.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So he has a little fundraiser going on.
He does. And so just to be clear, it was this past weekend, but I wanted to talk about it because it's a kind of a cool story. He organized a charity ride with all of the Peloton members in support of Hope Air. Hope Air is a Canadian charity that helps families in need with free air freights for critical medical treatment. How amazing is that? So over 50 riders hopped on And they got on the bike at noon Eastern. They rode on demand on the All for One ride. And they raised over $21,000 for Hope Air.
Wow.
Which represents over 80 flights for families in need. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
And I just got to give a shout out to Mark Rubinstein because this is the third Peloton fundraiser that he has done, that he's been involved with. Last year, he also organized a drive for food banks through the Facebook group and participated in the U.S.-led Alzheimer's ride with Jen Sherman in 2019. And so he calls all this riding for good, sparked by the community of Peloton. His leaderboard name is Sinner Saint, which is pretty perfect. So thank you for all that you do, Mark.
Yes, thank you very much. And finally, there are some tribe wars a-brewing.
Yeah.
Within the tread groups.
All good tribe wars.
Yes.
So it's in the competitive spirit. You know, last year, if you're new to Peloton, you may not know this, but last year there was a really big, kind of the first tread competition that there had been. There were all these people kind of getting together. I think it was Treading Through July. It was all started by Tammy Lynn, who is one of our lovely medical workers who's been an absolute angel during this COVID crisis. She's the one we've talked about before that like goes into the rooms and like is with people when their families can't be with them. Another amazing member of our Peloton community. Well, this year, it's a whole different thing. What we're going to do, we being the Peloton community, because I'm not actually organizing any of it. I'm just telling you about it. But what they've done is they've set up this different kind of competition between each of the tread instructors. So you pick an instructor and you and your tribe get points for every class that you do with said instructor. So if like you're on Maddie's team, for example, then, you know, every time you take a Maddie class, you get a point for your team. So I thought that was a great way to do it. They figured out a way to balance it all out because they don't have even numbers. You know, not everybody has like, for example's sake, 100 people in each group. So they found a way to balance it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into the math here because I don't like math, but they figured that out. So they've taken that into account. Going to be a lot of fun. So if you are interested in that, reach out, go to any of the tribes, the tread tribes, and you will find all the details about that.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of a Skype-a-phone is Gina Harney. Hey, Gina, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys? It's great to chat with you.
You too.
Likewise. You were from the fitness blog, Fitness Sista.
Yes, it's actually Fitnessista, but a lot of people say Fitnessista. So I'm like, I'll be your sister, like either way.
No, I like that better. I was going to ask you for special permission to still be able to call it Fitness Sister.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I feel dumb saying Sista.
So I really like Fitnessista.
Right.
We've been saying it wrong, Tom. We got our name right and we said the blog wrong.
I know, right? I still call it because I feel
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I like that way better. Thank you for the correction.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, no problem.
So how did you originally come across Peloton?
So I started using the app. It'll be probably 3 years this summer.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we were living in South Georgia at the time. We are military and we've moved around quite a bit. And before we moved to South Georgia, we lived in San Diego. So I taught at an awesome gym there and we had like the lighting going on and the screens and classes were packed. And then we moved to this very small town. And the vibe in the spin classes was just very different. It was very quiet. They didn't have they had this tiny little sound system. And I just really missed that high energy kind of dance party club vibe.
Yes.
And I had heard about Peloton. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try this out. I had a spin bike in my garage. And so I downloaded the app and I used it on my iPad, just propped up on my old school Johnny G spin bike. And I fell in love with it. And I ended up getting the bike itself. It'll be about 2 years ago. And I love it so much. I still ride it so frequently because I kind of thought maybe in the back of my head, like, oh, this might be a novelty thing. Maybe it'll wear off after a little while. I still ride it just as much, if not more, than when I first bought it.
Wow. That's really saying a lot because, typically I ask people what is their fitness level before Peloton, but I know that you just said you were at a gym all the time. So you have been very active for, it seems like, a long time. So I was curious how you made Peloton kind of fit in with everything you already do.
Yeah, it really was more of a convenience factor than anything. My husband travels a lot. He's gone a lot. We have 2 small children. So it is the best way to get cardio at home where I'll actually push myself instead of just starting a video and being like, I'm going to check Instagram now or do something else. So I kind of just shuffle it in based on when he's gone because I know that day I'm guaranteed to get an awesome workout.
Well, that's a good way to do it. So tell us all about your blog and your podcast. And what's the name of your podcast? Is it also called Fitnessista?
It is not, which is probably a bad branding move on my part. It's called Healthy in Real Life. And I just wanted to get like real life perspectives on navigating a healthy lifestyle because I feel like there's so much noise and conflicting information out there. Like, let's just talk to real people and see what they do in their own routines that are simple things that anyone can implement. So podcast is called Healthy in Real Life. I started the blog about 12 years ago. And that was also when we were first living in the very small town in Georgia where we lived. But we had just moved there. I had not made any friends yet. And I was just kind of yearning for some type of connection. And it was also born out of the fact that my husband told me to please stop online shopping so much because I was so bored. And every day, like a package would show up on the doorstep. He's like, just find a hobby, whatever you do, just please stop spending money. And I was like, okay, I'll start a blog. So I started it, back then. And I really just wanted to kind of find a community, find people who are interested in the same types of things that I were. And I also just started working as a personal trainer. And some of my clients would ask me for workout ideas or healthy meal ideas. So I was like, okay, I'll just put it on this blog. And I didn't expect anyone to read it, but it's been amazing to just watch it grow. And it's been so awesome that I've been able to keep doing it because we have moved so much. And I can just kind of do it at home when the kiddos are sleeping. And it's been so cool to see this community and people connecting from all over the world.
It's probably a good way to like bring your friends with you when you move. Like
what a great point.
You know, you've got this little community that you've built and it doesn't matter where you go. They pack up and go along with you.
Yes, absolutely. Because that is one of the hardest things about moving so often because you make your core group of friends and you're like, I love hanging out with you, but we're going to be leaving in a year or 2 and that kind of sucks. So that's such a great way to look at it.
Wow. So how many times have you moved since you started the blog?
Oh my gosh. We were, let's see. We were in Georgia and then to Tucson and then San Diego, then back to Tucson, back to Georgia, back to Tucson. And we were also in North Carolina before I started the blog. So it's been quite a few times. Bounced around a little bit.
So, and we can cut this out if need be, but like, are you on the lam?
She said it was military.
I think that's code. They're in the federal witness relocation program, and they just use military
with quotations.
Right, I'm making air quotes. You can't tell because it's a podcast, but that's what they're calling it.
It is awesome.
They're like, here's our plan, but you have to stay. But you have to stay in shape and cut your hair really short.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So good.
So when you started the blog, was that a conscious choice of like, I want to start this and maybe try and build it into something? Or was it more just like, here's this like little thing I'm going to do on the side and what happens?
I think it was more of a what happens kind of thing, but I almost feel like that was to my benefit. Sure. I feel like if you start a blog with the intention of monetizing it and you're like, I'm going to make X amount of money from this, it almost always fails because people can see right through that. So I'm like, I'm just going to do this for fun and connect with people and share information and just have fun with it and see where it goes. And that's kind of always been my goal for the blog, just see what happens. And then it's been kind of cool just to watch it unfold.
Yeah, I agree that if it's not coming from a point of passion, like that shines through pretty quickly.
It does. I totally agree with you. I think that one thing that it stands above the rest is being your authentic self. And I feel like from the blog post I read, you are being your authentic self or you're a really good liar because it just seems like such a natural place. I mean, you're talking about everything from workouts to being a mom to, a good, healthy things to eat. Like you've got this huge range of topics. but all about living a healthy life, which is just fabulous.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I feel like it's made it easier to pivot too when you don't have a set path in place, because so much has changed since I first started the blog. It's been really easy to be like, oh, well, I'm going to do this now. No big deal.
I have a question. So do you think having the blog has made you more accountable to stay on track through different ups and downs of your life?
Oh, that's a great question. I absolutely think so. I think if anything, it helps me just kind of focus on the positive side of things. A lot of people are like, oh, you're so happy all the time. You're so optimistic. And it's like, actually, like, I'm really not all the time, but people don't want to read about that. So it kind of forces you to look at the bright side. I mean, especially with what we're going through right now, pandemic,
Right.
people don't want to see doom and gloom. They want to see things that make them feel good. So I feel like it's just really been such a positive blessing in my life to look at the bright side of things. Because moving all the time has been hard. There have been other things that have happened that have been difficult, but
I'm sure.
But yeah.
I mean, 12 years is a long time to do anything. And I know that doing the podcast makes me stay focused on having to continuously keep my workouts up. Like, if I would just feel so fake if we were doing a podcast about Peloton and I wasn't using the Peloton, you know?
Yeah. I have the Peloton, but it's a clothing rack in my garage. So listen to my podcast.
Ironically, I have no issues of any kind with doing that.
That's because you started
I have to ask
there.
you, how many rides have you done, Tom?
Zero.
Zero?
None.
Really?
He's never even sat on the bike.
Yeah.
What? Wow. Is it you just don't want to, or what way?
I'm lazy.
Okay, just don't feel like it. Do you like to do any other things for fitness, or not your thing, or?
No.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Crystal, how many rides have you done, Crystal?
I am coming up on 700 rides.
Wow, that is amazing.
Thank
Plus,
you.
You've got the tread.
Yes.
So you got all that going on.
I do. I've been mixing in the runs, and then I've been doing a tonal. So I've been doing strength, and then I recently got the fight camp. So I've been kind of rotating through all of them. So it's been really great. I'll do what I really like to do is do a tonal and then kind of rotate through the different cardio. So it's been great.
Okay, so bike versus tread. What are your thoughts there?
Oh my gosh. How do I have really learned to love running, which is so shocking to me because one, I'm super slow. I am a legit turtle whenever I run. And so whenever I say running, it's really jogging, but I'm getting faster and I really love the freedom of it. I mean, I enjoy the bike very much. I love the bike. The bike's always been my first love, but being able to just run and feel I don't know, there's this freedom that comes with running, and I love being able to go really, really fast. I feel more effective when I run than I do when I bike, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah. So you have the bike. You do not have the tread.
I don't have the tread, but I want the tread.
I'm not even going to lie. It's a beautiful piece of machinery.
Oh, yes, we need it. We have the bike in my office.
Yes.
And I have this chaise lounge against the wall. And I'm the tread would fit so perfectly right there instead of that couch and be more enjoyable for me. So
I just worry. I worry for you, though, if you have to move a lot. That thing is massive.
Oh, yeah. We're in Tucson for good now. So
you are?
Yes.
Well, congrats on just being able to be stable. I can't.
Thank you.
And thank you to your husband for his service. I don't mean to at all belittle that, but I'm so excited for you to be stable and sit in one place.
Oh, thank you. We don't even know what it feels like. We're still getting used to that idea. We're we can actually do things to our house now. We can remodel some things because we're actually going to be here. So nice. Oh, my friends, I don't have to leave you. This is so good.
That's wonderful. You absolutely should get the tread then. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm so excited for you.
Take the money you would have spent on moving expenses
Yes.
and apply it towards a tread. I shouldn't say this because her husband can kick the shit out of me.
That's true,
he's
Tom.
Big, tough military, and I'm not.
Right.
It's so funny. I think he would like the tread, though. I got him to ride the bike. He's done it about a handful of times now, and he really liked it. But I think he'd like the tread even more.
It's a very different vibe, but in all the best ways, it's still the same. You know, you still get those really great, encouraging and inspirational instructors and this amazing content to tell you how to correct your form and your breathing. And I love that they have hill runs and they have endurance runs and they have HIIT runs. Like, I love that I don't have to think. Like, I really think that a big portion of exercise my entire life that I've been avoiding it is not knowing what I need to do to be effective. And so having all these tools tell me what I need to do next is just brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It takes the guesswork out of all of it. And that's another reason why I love it too, because I'm a personal trainer. I can create my own workouts, but it's so nice to not have to think about it and have someone else do it for me.
Yes, I get that. What other workouts do you do?
I like to do pretty much everything. Weekly, I'll probably do like 2 Peloton rides. I'll do like a barre class or a yoga class. I lift weights a couple times a week. I might do some HIIT training. I love hot yoga. So I'll kind of just mix and match depending on how I'm feeling. Right now, it's been a little different because we've been home for like 16 days now. So I've been doing lots of home workouts, lots of streaming workouts just up in the office or in the garage.
That's great. And I hope you probably already know that Peloton does yoga as well.
Yes, and Dennis teaches yoga sometimes. And I love Dennis.
We could tell.
We all love Dennis.
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
You're okay with Dennis?
He seemed nice enough. But...
He's so smart too. Like, we interviewed him and he really shocked me. He shocked me because he's like such a very photogenic person and also so incredibly smart and can talk to you about like things like books and literature and how important words are. He's a really intelligent guy.
Good
so those
to know.
things don't normally go together.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that.
But yeah, you say all the time how smart I am.
And funny. Don't forget the funny, Tom.
No, I'm remembering the funny. It's just... I don't remember the photogenic aspect.
So, Gina.
No, I'm just enjoying listening to this whole thing.
I think you're adorable, Tom.
That's an interesting pivot.
So how do you combine all the different workouts you do into a schedule? Like, how do you know what's best to do when? Do you just do what feels good, or do you focus on different aspects? How do you know?
I try to get at least 2 to 3 solid strength workouts a week. So some type of weightlifting, I'll do a split. Either I'll do total body all those 3 days, or I might do like an upper day, lower day, total body day. So weight training, I always kind of shuffle in first, and then I'll add in cardio. So that's usually Peloton, or I might go for a hike outside. And then I'll have kind of like a wild card day in there. So that will be barre, body pump, yoga, something different.
That's great. And I always do strength first too, because I'm too exhausted after cardio to do strength properly.
That's smart. That's a smart way to do it. Or I feel like if I don't plan out the strength days, I kind of let them go because I don't think strength is as much fun as cardio. So I would do cardio every day if I could.
Absolutely. I love how I feel after having done the strength, but I don't think it's as fun as cardio. It's just like, I don't know, cardio, you can just like, shut your brain off and just have a great time. But strength, you got to really focus.
Yes, exactly. It's fun to just zone out. Have you tried any of the new dance cardio workouts?
Yes. Okay.
Are they so good?
Oh my God. They're great. It was a very blatant reminder about how little I can dance. I have no skill in that area and I have no rhythm. And I had a great time, though. And that's really all that matters. But
That's awesome.
They're fabulous. I did the 20-minute. It was Rebecca and Jess King, and it was a blast.
Oh, fun. I like them.
Yeah. And we were remarking about how, like, Tom was watching us, and he was like, is Jess like does she have a background in dance? And I was like, yeah, she does. Because, like, you can just tell when she's dancing how fluid the changes of movements are. You know, versus like Rebecca, who comes from more of a gymnastics, very specific, like hitting each of those movements very like precisely.
Yeah, hers was with great precision. It was, I know this is a vocal term, but it was very staccato.
Yes.
Like not bad, but just like boom, boom, boom. Where Jess King had more of a like
a dance,
a fluidity to it.
Yes.
Like, you know, I like musicals.
Got it. And you did the dance workout too, right?
No, but I took pictures of her so she could post
there you go.
them. So I made myself useful.
He did.
Yeah.
I even went up the steps
And like got an artsy view.
so I could get a good view from the landing. So I mean, going up steps is like exercising.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That counts.
Yeah, for sure. And you got some good angles too.
Right.
That's
He
pretty
did.
impressive.
He did. She's giving you a lot of credit there,
I know.
Tom. It's very nice of her. So how long have you been a personal trainer?
I started in 2008. So it was a few months before I started the blog.
And what led to that? Were you just like doing it all the time? Just you loved it, or was like what caused all that?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I actually have a finance degree, and I had a job offer out of college, which I wasn't able to take because we were moving somewhere else and I was already engaged. So when we first got to Georgia, it was just very much a good old boy network. So it was all about who you know and who's your dad. And they look at my resume and be like, well, you're from Arizona, you moved to North Carolina, and now you're here. What's going on? So I feel like military was almost like a big red X on my resume. It was very hard to get a job in the finance industry where we were. So I was very into fitness at the time. During college, I taught at a dance studio, and that was my favorite thing. I grew up dancing. And so when we first started moving, I felt like group fitness was the closest thing I could get to dancing. So
Sure.
I started to take a lot of fitness classes, and that's when I decided to become a group fitness instructor. And so when we had moved to Georgia, I was like, you know what, this finance thing isn't working out right now. Maybe if we move again, that'll be great, but I'll just start to work as a trainer and see how it goes. And then it just kind of went from there.
So I have a lot of people that are in my network here locally, so in St. Louis, that they say they're trying to be a trainer, but it's really hard to make a good living off of that. Did you find that was the case, or do you think it's like times have changed? Because it's been a decade. I have no idea if that changes over time, or if maybe it just depends on who you are and what kind of contacts you have. I don't know.
It really depends on your experience and where you live. So when I first started working in Georgia, I was just getting paid hourly as a trainer, and it was very low. But compare that to when I was in San Diego, it was like 6 times as much as I was making there. So it just it just really depends where you are. Yeah, it's just very volatile everywhere you go. But it is hard to make a living as a trainer because you are paid by the hour. They're usually off hours too. So people work. So they want to see you really early in the morning or in the evening. So yeah, it's just a lot of shuffling.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's probably hard because as soon as you you'd start to build up a clientele,
You'd move.
Exactly. So it was nice because by the time we moved from Georgia, my blog had pretty much become a full-time income. So I didn't have to depend on training anymore.
Congrats.
That's nice.
That's fabulous.
Thank you.
it's nice when the side hustle takes off.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the side hustle becomes the main hustle.
Yeah.
Good thing.
You're giving us hope.
Yeah, I know. How about that? Fingers crossed. So I noticed that you have a very significant portion of your website dedicated to postpartum fitness.
Yes.
So I'm just curious. I say what led to that. I guess it's pretty obvious what led to that. You had a baby, but
Yes.
but I guess what made you feel like dedicating so much of your site and focus to that?
I just feel like there is such a lack of information out there for pregnant mamas and postpartum mamas because I experienced it myself with our firstborn. She is 8 now. But even as a trainer and a group fitness instructor, the amount of education you get regarding that is so small. We have a chapter in our training book, and it's like 2 paragraphs in special populations. And there was so much I had to learn the hard way. So I was really dedicated to just researching as much as possible and just compiling it. I created a postpartum fitness plan. It's called Post Baby Bod. And everything I learned, I just put it into that PDF file because I was like, even as a fitness professional, I didn't know any of this information. And I jumped back into it way too quickly. I was teaching at a health resort at the time, and I was 2 months postpartum taking this high impact Tabata class so that I knew how to teach it as soon as I came back to work. Just like jumping and doing all these crazy things that I think about now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Because the crazy thing is that even if you feel well, you're like, I feel great. I feel back to quote normal. There's so much internal healing that has to transpire. So you have no idea what's going on internally, and you could be doing these things and it could really affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think back to that time period. I mean, it's been 13 years now. And I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't in shape going into my pregnancy. And when I came out of my pregnancy, I actually lost quite a bit of weight just because I was so like really bloated. I was pregnant during the summer, like the very end of my pregnancy was during the summer. And and then of course I was able to nurse. And so that helped, get rid of the excess weight too. But man, just going for a walk was exhausting, just absolutely exhausting. And I remember wanting to get back into shape, but like not feeling like my body could handle that, like jumping, that impact. Like when you talk about that, I'm like just cringing because I can't even imagine, and there's lots of women that have their abdominal muscles are torn or they're not back together. And
or literally cut apart depending on the birth of choice.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's a whole different ballgame. And I know I've seen on Peloton platforms many times that people are asking for, pre and postnatal exercises. So I think that's fabulous that you were able to focus on that and give people so much information.
Oh, thank you. And I feel like too, so many women are so anxious and so excited to finally get back into their quote normal routines. So the second you get that clearance, you're like, yes, I'm free. I'm going to go run 6 miles. And it's like, well, you couldn't run 6 miles yesterday. So why do you think you could do that today? And I feel like that's frustrating as well, because you go for your 6 or 8 week postpartum checkup and they're like, okay, just go back to whatever you were doing. It's like, well, you don't know what I was doing before I got pregnant. Like maybe I was, I don't know, a scuba diver or a ninja. Like you don't know what that includes.
Well, you couldn't have been
there's no guidance.
You couldn't have been a ninja because your husband would have never been able to find you to get you pregnant.
That is true.
I mean, just think it through.
That is true. But they don't know if you're like a cage fighter. People are going to be kicking and like punching at you. Like they have no idea. And there's no step-by-step guidance. Like, okay, maybe first few weeks you should try this. If that feels good, progress to this. They're just like, all right, you look good. You're free. Go back to whatever you were doing. I'm like,
that's so true.
Okay.
So backing up in the timeline a little bit, I'm just curious of what the thought process, what happened to your head when you're like, hey, I'm a personal trainer. I've got this blog that's doing well, and I've kind of built my whole world around fitness, and I'm pregnant and I'm very excited, but what do I do while I'm pregnant? Like, did you have to like kind of reconsider what your profession looked like while you're pregnant?
No, actually, which is crazy now that I look back at it, because I was teaching.
Am I a jerk for asking that?
No, not at all, because I was teaching at a health resort when I got pregnant with our first daughter. So there were, I think, over 100 fitness classes on the schedule each week, and we were expected to be able to teach 75% of those classes. So I was out there at the pool teaching aqua fitness. I was inside doing like boot camps, treadmill classes. I taught Zumba until I was like 36 weeks pregnant. Oof. And our boss walked past the dance studio and I was up there just like shaking it with my giant belly. And she just waved her finger like, no, like you are done. So that's when they pulled me out. But just looking back on the things I did while I was pregnant and knowing what I know now, it's like, oh, that's why you had abdominal separation. Oh, that's why this happened. So yeah, it was an interesting profession to be in during my entire pregnancy and teaching so many classes each week.
I'm sure that makes a lot of moms at home feel better that like you were in this profession and did not know all of the things. And so I know women have a tendency to beat ourselves up over not doing everything perfectly. So
totally. And just looking back too, I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was just interesting to see the comparison with my first and second pregnancy, because I had learned so much the first time around. And a lot of that was from sitting in the locker room with my colleagues and being like, hey, well, why are people still doing sit-ups or bicycles while they're pregnant? Because women would come to the resort and like, should we do that? Is that safe? They're like, no, that is not safe. This is why. So they were a really huge resource for me too.
So what do you think with your fitness regimen was the biggest change from pregnancy 1 to pregnancy 2?
Pregnancy 2, I wasn't teaching nearly as many fitness classes. So round 1, I was teaching about 15 per week, which is a lot. And a lot of them were really active teaching classes. So dance, cardio, and Zumba. We had this like world beat class with drummers. That was really fun and awesome. But second pregnancy, I was only teaching 6 per week. I also did yoga teacher training during that time, which was so valuable and informational. And I took it easier on myself, and I just noticed a big difference in how I felt. I didn't feel so worn down during my first pregnancy. I felt like I had to nap every single day. And second pregnancy, number 1, you can't nap because you have a toddler running around. But yeah, I just took it easier on myself. And I also did physical therapy after our second birth, and that taught me so much. And that helped a lot with creating my postpartum fitness plan. So I could use like physical therapist backed exercises.
Do you think that there's like one thing that moms ask you over and over again that you feel like everybody should know or can benefit from?
That's a good question. I think a lot of women want to know when they can go back to impact exercises. That's pretty common. And honestly, I wouldn't go back to impact exercises until you're at least 16 weeks postpartum. And that feels like an eternity after the baby is born. But it's so worth it just to protect your pelvic floor and just to ease into it slowly. Because like I mentioned before, a lot of women are so excited to get back into their routine. So it's really hard to wait. But that would be my number 1. Just wait 16 weeks postpartum until you're running, jumping, and doing any type of plyometric exercises.
The women are almost as excited as the husbands are.
I know, right?
Like, speaking
They're
of
like, hey,
impact,
how'd your checkup go? I was like, oh, it's a no-go. She said, gotta wait a few more weeks at least.
they're like, oh, what'd the dentist say?
Oh my God. Wrong podcast, honey.
That is hilarious.
Thank you for having a great sense of humor.
Oh my gosh, so good.
So being a trainer, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Peloton content.
Oh, well, I love it, obviously. I love the variety. I think that they make it so accessible for different fitness levels. It's so easy to modify. One thing I do think that they're lacking, I did this in my like full Peloton review post that I wrote, is I don't think there's any type, I don't know if maybe they did this and I can't find it, but I think it would be so smart on their behalf and so intuitive if they use their algorithms and technology just to create like a custom schedule based on the classes you like to take.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, Gina, I saw that you did 2 like HIIT classes last week. We added in some strength classes and a yoga class to create a more balanced weekly routine. Do you want to try it? Yes or no? Like, and that would be so amazing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Although I would also say I could see seeing that and feeling a lot of pressure because I'd be like, but I'm already doing these other things.
No, that's true. That's a good point. I just feel like a lot of people don't know
No, you're right.
how to balance their Peloton classes into a balanced schedule. Like there are some people who ride the bike every single day, which is awesome. You know, you're getting great cardio, but might not be doing any strength classes or any types of stretching or mobility work. And that would be such an easy thing for them to just have a sample schedule on the screen somewhere.
Really? And to take your idea and just like tweak it a little bit for somebody like me, you could say, what other things are you doing outside of Peloton? You know, like, and then they could use that to tweak that altogether because I do think that is something that's missing. And I feel like a lot of people, I think that's why when they just have the bike, they love the bike because you just get on every day and you ride and you don't have to think about that. But as I have learned as I'm getting older, doing that strength is so incredibly important, and it helps with mobility. It helps with stretching. It helps with being stronger and feeling good as you do your daily activities. And so I do think that people could benefit from having the strength recommendations, having the yoga recommendations. I think that's a really smart idea. I really like that.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool because if you think about the movement on the spin bike, you're doing it every single day. You have that like flexion in your knee and at your ankle and your hips. It just so often, so much repetitive movement can lead to like injury. It can even just lead to that like nagging knee pain or hip pain. So by doing that, I think they would have like built-in longevity because people would not be injuring themselves and be able to balance it a little bit better with everything they offer because they offer so many different types of classes.
They do. Yeah, it's really good.
Yes.
So I feel like I know the answer to this one, but what is your leaderboard name?
Oh, it's Quad Hangover.
I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
I just assumed it would be Fitnessista.
No. I'm inconsistent at branding, apparently. Just have different names for everything.
Which is actually pretty adorable. I like it.
Go through and merge all that. Like, unify.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want
about
everybody.
it. But I kind of like being on the leaderboard and then someone just not, like if someone reads my blog, they're like, oh, there's Gina. Oh, she's behind me. I'm beating her. Like, I just like being just someone random on there.
I do get that. I do get that. Yeah, I definitely understand that. And, we really didn't talk about your blog that you wrote that kind of started this whole conversation.
Oh, that's true.
I forgot to include that in the questions, but I want to do that now. So
Yeah.
tell us what inspired you to write about your favorite instructors. I thought you did such a great job of breaking each one down.
Oh, thank you. So I've done a few Peloton posts on my blog and they are in my top post pretty much every day. I just think so many people are searching for Peloton related content right now. And I did a survey. I do like an annual blog survey, just asking readers what they want to see, if they have any topic requests. And a very common one was for me to break down my favorite instructors. So that's why I wrote that one. And it's funny because they've been my core favorites this entire time. Like they've brought in new instructors that are great and I'll take their classes a couple of times, but I always gravitate back towards the same ones.
I really think that is an ongoing thing with everyone. I think that regardless of who you connect with, it does not matter. You have like 3 or 4 that everybody tends to gravitate to. I mean, they're a different 3 or 4 for you versus me versus everybody else. But like there tends to be this strong connection with a few, and there's probably one that you have above all others, and I don't want to put you on too much on the spot, but
Oh yes, it's Cody, 100%. He is a party of a human being. He is amazing. And I feel like even though his classes aren't necessarily the hardest, like I don't think I've ever PR'd in a Cody ride. They always make me laugh and I have a smile on my face and he just really makes working out fun, which I think is so important.
I completely agree. I feel like Peloton made working out fun for me. And that's why I keep coming back to it because working out was never something I enjoyed ever before Peloton.
Yes.
And now it's just like, I love it. I look forward to it. And honestly, since this whole pandemic thing has occurred, I'm a different person when I don't work out. Like it really brings me back to a calm, peaceful place compared to what I don't exercise.
Oh my gosh, I'm right there with you. Like I was looking at my watch app on my phone where it shows the little circles, how many you completed each day, and March is just full because I've had to work out every day to keep my sanity pretty much with everything going on. But it is like you said, they made working out fun for so many people, and what a great way to have some sense of community when so many of us are isolated right now.
I could not agree more. It's been fantastic.
Yes. And I didn't give him a proper shout out in the blog post, but I have to give credit to DJ John Michael because he is amazing. Like every class that he is in, I'm like, I know this is going to be a great one.
His energy and the things, I don't know if you follow him. Well, yeah, you do. You said you follow him on Facebook. The posts that he they're just sometimes so obvious, but like you don't think about, like you don't spend the time focused on the specific thoughts. And it's just like, yes, of course, that makes perfect sense to me. And I needed to hear that today. He just has a great outlook. I love following him.
Yes, and I just love his dance moves and his lip syncing. He's so fun.
Do you follow him on Instagram too?
I do.
Okay, so you know about COVID disco.
Oh, no, I did not see that.
Okay, so every day at 6 p.m. Eastern, he is going live and doing a
Stop.
DJ. Seriously.
Okay, that's on the plan for today. COVID disco is happening.
You will have so much fun. It's great to watch him just doing his thing back there behind the table.
Yes, that's so fun. So have you met many of the instructors in real life?
Yeah, because we go to homecoming, so we've gotten to meet quite a few. I haven't gotten to take that many classes that I would like to take.
Yeah.
But I have gotten to meet them. Because when we're there for homecoming, they tend to have like all these different opportunities that you could interact with the instructors. And so I have had the opportunity to meet several of them over the years, but they're just as fabulous in person as they are on the screen. They really are.
That is so cool. Is homecoming canceled this year or is it just postponed?
It's canceled.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's so sad. I mean, obviously I did not go last year, but the classes that they filmed during it were so amazing.
Yeah, and it's like a double whammy because they just opened their new studio. So it would have been an introduction to the new studio. And
I know.
yeah, it's a bummer. We're kind of thinking that if all this like dies down, we might take a trip in the last quarter of the year up there and just do a little HRI of our own for the clip out and go up there and just have a chance to see everybody that we didn't get to see. Because I just can't bear the thought of going a whole nother year.
I know. Seriously.
But none of Manhattan is all that
Right.
big. So
Yeah.
but I think it's really close, fairly close still. And then they moved the headquarters are moving too over to Hudson Yards as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't wait to see them in person because I think the new studios are gorgeous and I love the new angles. I think they're so cool.
Yes, they get so fancy now. They'll do the like underneath shot.
Yes.
They're teaching. I'm like, oh, look at you guys.
I know. Don't you think that's brave? Like I would not feel comfortable with somebody coming at me from that angle, you know? But
no.
they look good doing it though. There's a lot of mixed reviews. Surprisingly, there's people that are very anti the new shots.
Why?
Well, they feel like they're a little too up in their business.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
When I heard like coming up from below, I'm like,
But it's not like, to me, it doesn't look vulgar. It's just like,
Right.
You know what I think of is like videos from the 1980s whenever the singer would be on stage and they would be like the guitarist would like do his little thing across the stage and they would like come at him. Like
yeah,
that's
like
what it
they were
reminds me.
shooting from the pit.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. I put it in rock terms for Tom because
Yes.
he's all about pop culture and music. So,
Makes it easier. Spoon feed it to me.
well, since you don't get on the bike, you
Yeah.
have to.
And yeah, that's not a flattering angle for most people, but I'm thinking when you're like 0.2% body fat.
Right.
Yeah.
You can pull
Oh,
that
yeah.
off.
Makes it a
I would
lot
have
easier.
like 4 chins, but like Robin
you
looks
would not.
so
I've
good.
seen-
She looks so good from below like that. And like, it's just very artsy.
It is, but I saw pictures of you
Yeah.
on your blog,
You know,
so
the-
no,
the
you don't
internet
get to
has-
say that.
The internet has pictures on it. You know that, right? Like that's
I mean, like when you have the below angle, though, it's kind of like when you open your phone and it's accidentally in selfie mode and you're
Right.
like, oh no. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like that situation.
My phone always says raise the angle for a more flattering photo. I'm like, okay, I get
Yeah.
it. Like, I
It
know.
does tell you that?
It does.
like that.
Wow.
That's
It's
just.
a little upsetting.
You're
It's
like
a
that's
little-
just hurtful.
I know, right?
Although sometimes when it's on selfie mode, I'm like, oh, no wonder the kids are so scared of me. Makes a lot more sense now.
You're funny.
That's so funny. How many kids do you guys have?
So I have 2 boys and she has a daughter. So
Yeah,
we are
okay.
blended.
Yes, we're a blended family. So
Oh, okay, I love it.
yeah. And you said you have 2.
Yes.
And so what are their ages now?
They're 4 and 8.
Aw. They're still little.
Yeah, they're still little. I'm hitting the point where I am struggling a little bit, trying to figure out how to keep them entertained all day long,
I
but
bet.
kind of just taking it day by day.
I totally get that. And I completely empathize with you. Also, those days where they love you and think you're smart and they hug you or, you still get them. And when you have teenagers, you don't.
No.
Oh, no.
So,
They're a lot easier to keep occupied because
Yeah.
they'll just sit in a room and sulk. But
but yeah. But like you are the dumbest person when they turn 13.
Oh,
and
no.
yeah. Like, you know nothing, you don't understand them, and you no longer need hugs unless they want something. So, yeah.
Wow.
So I miss the 4-year-old days, especially.
Okay.
A
Yeah,
lot.
the four is very sweet. 8, she's very sweet too, but she's definitely getting a little bit more into that kind of questioning
Yes.
mom and constant negotiations,
Yes.
that type of thing.
Yes. Sydney, my daughter, went through, I would say she was very early on in the teenage years. It was like 10 to 11 was much worse than what we got going on now, actually.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm kind of hoping. I'm like, maybe we're just going through this early and I can just get it out of the way.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you either way, because I know it's hard having kids at home while you do all the other things. So
Yeah, no, it's been interesting, but hopefully the thing will be over sooner rather than later. We're all hoping so.
yeah,
Fingers crossed.
definitely.
Yes, yes.
So, do you have any advice for people just entering the world of Peloton?
Oh my gosh, advice.
Isn't that kind of what you do for
I don't
a
even know what
living?
to say. I would just enjoy, enjoy. I would say try quite a few instructors before you get stuck with just one, because there are so many different ones and so many different personality types. They use different motivation strategies. So if you try a couple and you're kind of like, I don't know if they're the right fit for me, just keep trying different people, because you will find your Peloton instructor soulmate.
Like dating.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's great advice. That's very good advice.
Yeah. So who is your favorite then? Who is your favorite cycling instructor?
I've been really letting this out of the bag a lot lately. I feel a little sad. My go-to, the one that like just speaks to me the way Cody speaks to you, is Jen Sherman. Like I feel the same way about Jen Sherman as you do about Cody. Like, no matter how I feel when I get on that ride, I am smiling by the end. And it just, I feel like she connects with the people on the bike. I feel like she's, real. Like, I feel like she's a real person on and off the bike, if that makes sense.
I was like, they're all real people.
I know. I was like, that's not really a good sentence, but I'm hoping you know what I mean by that.
No, I know what you mean. Like, you can actually relate to them. Like,
Yes.
they don't seem like a video game character or something like that, like an avatar on the screen.
Yes.
But I've only taken like 2 of her classes, and that was a long time ago. So maybe I need to try her classes again.
I think if you're going to try her classes again, I would highly recommend to you the epic sing-alongs and the football rides, because those are some of my favorites. The sing-alongs are just, they're a party on the bike. And
Okay.
I just, you can't, there's no way you can get on one of those rides and not feel like $1 million when you get off the ride. Just no way.
I love it. Okay, I'll absolutely do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.
I guess before we go, remind everybody all the places that they can find your stuff.
Sure. So on the blog, I am at fitnessista.com. So it's just fitnessista.com. Instagram at fitnessista. And then my podcast is called Healthy in Real Life.
Perfect.
Awesome. And I'm assuming they can get that anywhere podcasts are available.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your weekend and hang in there.
Okay. You too. Thanks
you.
again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So I guess that brings another one to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Another fun treat. We are going to be talking to NFL player Jeff Schwartz.
Awesome. So that'll be a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. So until then, where can people find you?
People can find me at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the tread, and the bike at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Of course, on the bike, don't forget to use the hashtag The Clip Out. Plug that in before
Or on the tread. Your
or on the
Peloton
tread.
profile.
Yes, there we go. Sorry. Sometimes I forget. And of course, be sure and subscribe to the show wherever you're getting your podcast, and swing on by theclipout.com, sign up for our newsletter. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.